I'm from Newlands School, and I think we'll just go ahead with it. Is it okay if I mix this up a bit, ask us to come closer and come together? I'm going to ask us to do some group work eventually. Can we just please come forward? Please just come on. Because I think this is all just going to be. Thank you. We can just move forward. Thank you. Thank you. There we go. Hello, morning. Morning. Thank you. All right, so positive education, shifting paradigms. I am the well-being champion at my school. It's a new school, and so it's a new role. For me, positive education is also new. So I'm here not just to talk to you, but also to learn from you about what you are doing at your schools with positive education. And in my experience, I've learned that positive education isn't just exactly a curriculum, but it's actually something that is implicit. It's part of everything that we do while interacting with the children. So just moving forward, shifting paradigms. We'll start with what positive education is. It's targeted to everyone who's in education, and we want to show how we can already start to implement positive education on a low budget. So first of all, because my school is a new school, we came into Dubai, and then KHDA came with the well-being program, and we're like, okay, how can we start to do this already? I phoned the people at Geelong Grammar School, and they gave me a wonderful budget. I'm like, wow, this is very interesting. It's about 5,000 Australian dollars to have consultations with them. And I thought to myself, is there something that I can already start to do at my school before I can get this huge budget to calling professionals and calling experts to give training? And so by the end of this presentation, we can see how we can already start to implement positive education before you get the funding or the sourcing to start doing things with experts or professionals. That's the aim of my presentation. We know that positive education has come up from positive psychology, Professor Martin Seligman's positive psychology. So we do know that it's built on these pillars of well-being. First we have positive emotions, engagement, positive relationships, meaning, and accomplishments. And so as a teacher myself, we try to see how we weave in these pillars into everything that we do in a classroom. So positive education doesn't mean I'm going to stop teaching the curriculum. It simply means that what I am doing, I'm cognizant that I have to weave these pillars into my teaching, into the environment in my classroom to make it different for my children. I like this definition from Positive Psychology Program. It says, positive education emphasizes the importance of training the heart. I really love this, as well as the mind in education. And education has always focused on academics and fostering positive character strength development. So what we do now is we're moving away from just high scores. So if a child gets an A grade in my class, how does this A grade also match their character, also match their behavior in class? So this is what we try to do in positive education. If my child can get A in maths or English or literacy or history, I also want to make sure that this child has the character to match his A grade as well. This is a picture of, I teach FS2, so this is a picture of my children. Why I like this picture is we try to see how they see themselves in society. So I have a police officer, I have a nurse, and I have a fire chief. But what we're doing is a mathematics activity with space, shape, and measure. So they're trying to see, whatever we do, we try to see how they can relate whatever they do into the world. So we're looking at character strengths, we're looking at real life situations. So how do I perceive myself as I do this thing that I do, my curriculum or whatever I'm doing in class? So moving on. So what do we know about positive psychology, positive education? We know it is a science. So we know that it goes through a process We know there's a sequence of events, and we expect that, because it is a science, we expect that when you do interventions, you have consistent results all the time. That's what happens when something is a science. We know that in positive education, there are interventions that have been proven to work, and we know that there are measurable outcomes. So with the last well-being sentence that we did at schools, there were results, and the one we've done just now, we also have results. So the census tries to measure these different domains of positive education, and the overall outcome is that children should flourish in society. So I'm going back to that picture again of the children who are dressed up like this. We want them not just to stay in the classroom, but this learning is about them flourishing in society, able to project from the classroom to society where they should be. So what works? In positive education, we talk a lot about character strengths. What works? Character strengths. Thank you so much. So we've got papers here. Okay. These came in late, so I will just try to move on. Thank you. I'm going to pass around post-it notes. Sorry, we did not get A3 paper. So we're going to give post-it notes. And I want you to think about what works in positive education in your school. Thank you. If we could just pass it on. I will pass this to the next. Has everyone got a pen? Has everyone got a pen? Yes? We'll just pass down the post-it notes. You've got a pen? I'll just share that. Everyone's got a pen? Yes. I'll get some post-it notes for you. You can get the A3 paper. Well, already, if you could pair up, we do think pair share a lot in school. If you could just pair up with someone and just talk about what works. So what works? What works? Based on what we know already about positive education, we can just pair. What works? What works? What works? Thank you. Nice group here. Would you like to pass this on? Do you need some? I've got a pen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you need some paper? Good. Post-it notes. Go. Got it covered. Good. Need paper? Good. You're okay? Okay. You're cool? Okay. Here we go. All right. Anyone ready to share? What works? I'll just remind you what we know already. Remember, we're educating the heart as well as the minds. We're training the children to flourish in society. We know that positive education is a science. There are interventions, and we want children to flourish in society. So, what works? What works? Yeah, if you'd like to share, please, you can just put your hands up and just share with us. Creativity. Creativity. So can you just explain further? Creativity in a classroom?
Because they are elaborating on the real life situation.
Yes.
So, they're creating.
So probably when you're delivering a lesson, you would go outside the box. You just work outside the normal classroom environment box, probably, and maybe create real life experiences for children. So creativity. Any other?
A lot of peer work.
Yes.
Peer work and peer assessment is what we do.
Yes.
Generally, when you're assessed by an adult,
Yes.
you always question the knowledge you have.
Yes.
But when you're assessed by a peer and we're learning it with your peer,
Yeah.
there's a lot of teamwork, there's a lot of leadership skills that develop.
Yes.
And there is a self-ownership about learning.
Yes.
I need to know a little bit more
Yes.
so that I can help assess
Yes.
somebody. So that's something
Yes.
that works.
And I love that about ownership. I love that. Is there something you'd like to share?
So I'm the counselor for middle school at
Yes.
North American School.
Yes.
And because we had a few issues with children, with acceptance and tolerance, we have random names picked, and they would sit together in groups and have lunch together. So it's people they've never sat with
Yeah,
or
that's
out of
awesome.
their comfort zone, just to get that, to build their rapport and have more self-confidence.
Yes.
So that's what we try and do.
That's awesome. And that's positive relationships, which is really good. One of the pillars of positive psychology. Anything to share? Anything else?
In the classroom
Yes.
environment, the communication between the teacher and a student, that
Yes.
also matters a lot.
Yes.
The
Yes.
teacher has to be positive.
Yeah, the teacher is very important. I think if you have a grumpy teacher, I don't think there'll be positive emotions in the classroom. That's very true. That's very true. Anything to share? Pat? What do you think? Would you like to share anything?
Like we have like happy hours in our school.
Happy hours.
It's
I like that.
Students are free to sit with the from principal
Yes.
to the teacher
Yes.
to the director. You can sit together and
Yes.
have lunch and share their ideas.
Yes,
So this is something.
that's great. That's a great idea. Anything else? Same school? Oh, same school. Is there anything you'd like to share? Pass. Okay. Is there anything you'd like to share?
Not from a school.
Oh. Okay. Anything you'd like to share? What works? Okay. So thank you very much to everyone who shared. It's mostly the same thing that we do. So what I'm just trying to show is that what you already do is already tenets of positive education, even without having to pay for expert trainers. Of course, training is important, but in the meantime, while you wait for professional training and expert training, you can already start implementing positive education. So what works is shifting paradigms, changing things that we already do. So positive feedback. At school, we do a lot of positive feedback. We're just heavy on that. So immediately, they give their work to you. We have to give immediate feedback to the child. If they haven't got it right, you have to tell them, what didn't you get right? For example, I teach FS2, so we've just been talking about patterns. So we have a pattern with 3 shapes in it, and they try to complete the pattern if I give them something. And I try to get them to see, if they miss it, what they've done wrong, and how do you think they can go back? And they're like, oh, miss, this is where I missed it. And I'm like, yeah, see, you know it. You just have to put your mind to it. And immediately the child feels, wow, I can do this. Wow, I can do this. And it's little responses that you give to them. So feedback should be immediate, consistent. And then ownership. I think you mentioned ownership here. It must be owned by the child, because that's when it has meaning for the child. If you sit in your office, maybe senior management, and you plan something, and oh, children, we're going to do this now, and then you just drop it on them, there's no ownership. It already loses meaning even before you start to implement it. And that's why it's very important that learning should be, as much as possible, should be child initiated. I understand we have curriculum that we have to follow, but as much as possible in our classroom, we must follow the children's wishes and just let the children guide us into planning the lessons that we have for them. So it should be child-led. I know in many schools we have school councils where the children try to speak about what they would like to see happening in schools. And we need to cultivate relationships. I know here you spoke about the teacher and the child. So you must have children. I find that with children, some children, you must work hard to earn their trust. I remember a child of mine who took a whole term before he would start to speak to me. And that's how it is with children and trust. It's so important to cultivate relationships, because with trust, of course, comes safeguarding, and all these things are all parts of positive education. And we must celebrate strengths. We must celebrate strengths. From Relax Kids, let me just highlight that there, is a website where you can find so many free resources. We use that a lot at school. There's lots of tokens, there's a happiness book, but it gives a lot of resources to promote positive education, mindfulness, and well-being in school. We use the peer award system, house points, and there's a huge focus on personal, social, and emotional development. So besides the curriculum and the academics, we try to train the hearts. That's just what positive education is, and train character. And finally, there must be training for staff, for children, and let me add parents as well, because it's something that should go from top to bottom, from bottom up, from horizontally. It should just be going in every direction in a huge cycle. And I'm going to play one video from Jack Ma before we have another discussion. Here we go. That the curriculum is important, but what is more important is positive education. It's the implicit curriculum that comes in everything that you plan. And so he showed us the lesson plan from history class, and he said, so in the lesson plan, they have their objectives, but something that they do is they also try to see how they weave in principles of positive education into every lesson. And that made me think, as we plan lessons for our children, because we do the half-term plan, the yearly plan, how do you weave in these pillars, these tenets of positive education into your lesson? So can we just take some time to just think, pair, and share about that? If you were planning a lesson, for example, a maths lesson, a history lesson, English lesson, how would you weave in, let me go back to the PERMA, just to guide us. How would you weave in these pillars into your lesson? How would you weave in these pillars into your lesson? So I'll just let us think, pair, share, just think about that quickly. If you were doing a maths lesson or English lesson, history, geography.
Also related with the social well-being.
Yes.
All these things.
Yes.
We can connect
Yes.
with all these,
Yes.
all these things.
Yes.
So many values we are
Yes.
teaching through
Yes.
social studies. We
Yes.
can teach them.
Yeah.
How to help environment, how to help people, how
Yes.
to help earth. All these things we are
Yes.
teaching through.
Yeah. And that's important because, yeah, you are already
Patriotism,
teaching
love
that.
towards motherland.
Mhm.
So many things we are connecting with that.
That's amazing. It's really good. Okay, so is there anything you would change if you were to bring up a different paradigm, if you were to bring some positive education into that? What would you do differently in your classroom? Because you're teaching social studies already as a curriculum, but what would you do differently?
Yeah, I will try, because each topics I will try to deliver in a different manner.
Yeah.
I will give them more opportunities
More opportunity. So you want them to like take more leadership?
to the students only.
Yes.
Because their participation is more important. no?
Yes.
I will ask them to research.
Yes, yes, yes. So we
not
step
only
away,
the
yeah.
bookish one. Ask
Yes.
them to research more
Yes.
about the topic and ask them to.
Yes.
And I will hear them. Their
Yes,
opinion.
yes. That's very good.
Have some of the students present, or
Yes,
start off the
yes,
class by
yes.
acting like a teacher.
Yeah, because we need to step away.
Give them more opportunities.
Yeah, give them more, yeah. So should be
By
more
yourself, and I will try to do that.
Yeah, yes. And what subject do you teach?
She's not a teacher.
Ooh, a pleasure to have you. Okay. And do you oversee like?
We organize also an education event.
Oh, okay.
So it's a conference, and we're focusing a lot on inclusion. So
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of it. Guess the GESS.
I have.
At the end of the month.
I have.
And you can give us more ideas.
This is why we're sharing. This is why we're sharing, and then we're gonna hear everyone else's ideas. Okay. Okay. This is a really good one. I think that's something to really think about. Did you write down your challenges?
Challenges.
Yeah. So maybe we can think of how we'll do that. All right. That sounds fun. Sounds interesting. Lots and lots of things. You done? Yes.
You get a student who's coming from Japan with zero English.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
kind of hard, and like we have grade 1 to grade 9.
Yes.
And they come for a short period of like 3 months, maybe 1 year or 2
Yes.
years. So,
Yes.
like and the turnover rate is very high because they come for a short period.
Mm.
So we have to keep making the classes interesting all
Yes.
the time.
Yes.
So like we make it more creative.
Yes.
And we try to incorporate more humor, because if I go with the structural way, they can't get
No.
it.
No.
So and storytelling and
Yeah.
through these and field trips,
Yes.
taking them out to
Yes.
for seasons and weather, like we take them out literally and like scavenger hunt. So these way we try to help them build their vocabulary. Yeah, that.
And I love that because it's not just a classroom learning, they're actually experiencing their learning outdoors. That's beautiful. Anyone else would like to share? Yeah? So what do you teach?
I'm a counselor.
Okay, you're a counselor. Okay, please do share.
See, Burma is something, according to me,
Yes,
initially.
yes.
Well-being we are all talking about.
Yes.
For me, I don't know, we are trying to focus, we have rather tried to focus on
Yes.
adult well-being more. It has
Ah,
happened,
good.
we would say, because in our school we had a tradition of having, like in the last session we were talking, support staffs were acknowledged, because we
Yes.
are one of the very old schools of Dubai.
Yes.
We are Al-Sadiq Islamic School.
Yes.
So here even the values, Islamic values are very well preached, and our students, they are so much into it that student well-being, it is there a lot, but always what we thought is adult well-being, which is pretty neglected.
Oh yeah.
Because so we were hearing that in other schools they have made arrangements where on a particular day they can come over, they can talk, but actually, you know, we have kind of built that rapport where as a department, not as a department, but as individuals, considering the positive relationships,
Yes,
we
yes.
built that because what we understand, if we have to actually go for inclusion, or we have to have a proper inclusive ethos in the school, it's very
Yes.
important to do it at the ground level.
Yes.
So support staffs for us, they actually come to us to confide in their own language. We thankfully speak many languages,
Yes.
catering to the need of the
Yes.
situation. And it has happened on various occasions
Yes.
that we have intervened very critical problems from that level. And it has worked magically. Like we have some very, considering particularly if I term some children who has challenges according to behavior, like behavior a real concern, say safety. In school, it's being looked into. But out of school, say we have paid a lot of importance to transport. Our transport department really depend upon us, where our department goes out after the dispersal. They are told about the safety rules. We have chosen those buses where we find more proactive children are there. So we have conducted sessions for 2 weeks. She and other teachers, they
Yes.
have taken the initiative where then we have taken photos and we have identified students. And for some students, we have actually called the parents that will not be able to continue with the child by bus for another month or something. And then after a month when the child joins, it seems things are more settled. So it's like working beyond. We have tried to, I'm not saying that we are doing something unnatural or
No.
what other schools are not doing,
Yeah.
but it's just that we have addressed in a different way.
Yeah.
So
So I think you're saying you cannot give what you don't have. So if the teachers they don't have their own well-being in check, they cannot give well-being to the children. That's what you're saying.
So, and not only the teachers,
Yes.
I'm talking about the adult staff
Everyone,
as well.
yes,
I mean,
everyone.
That's what I was talking about, the
Yes.
support staff. When they're going out of the bus, it's a challenge for them to handle, well, like a teacher struggles to handle 30 children in
Yes,
class.
yes.
So support staff, giving a nanny the responsibility of
Yes.
a bus full of students from FS to year 11,
Yeah,
it's
that's
a
too
challenge
much.
for them.
Yeah.
So I felt catering to that need was also important.
Yes.
So
Yes, so
that's there,
safety,
I
yeah,
think.
safety is also a very important part of positive education. Thank you so much. Okay, so what do you teach?
Okay, I'm a school counselor.
Yes.
And when I look at the lesson plans in my school,
Yes.
especially when it goes to academics and learning,
Yes,
one of the things that we had introduced as a school was where we said every teacher, every subject you teach, every lesson you take,
yes.
you will add a value and a skill to it in
Nice,
your lesson.
nice.
But what happens is for a teacher, it's easy to stand up and say, in the end of learning triangles, so you learn this value and this skill. So what we have scheduled in our time schedule of teaching is
Yes.
where we tell the children, so we finish class, we've all learned triangles and shapes. What is the value you think you take from this class? So the children have to decide. And on our whiteboard, we have lesson objective stuck.
Yes,
So there's a part where values and skills are stuck.
Nice.
So children have to correlate, and one student representative comes up after every class to write what value did they learn from this lesson. For example, when one of the math teacher was actually teaching triangles.
yes,
So different angles and everything. So
Yes.
basic value of how each of us are different, but
Yes.
we fit into the same
that is so
community.
good.
And what is the skill we took from that is saying, when you step out in the society or when you see everyday life things, how do you make it more compliant or
Yes.
how do you make it more accommodative?
Yes.
The skill that the children learn. So as a teacher, I may not give you the skill and value, but I have come prepared with the skill and value in case my kids don't bring it up. But we've now trained our kids where in the last 5 minutes they are supposed to give a value and a skill. And the teacher makes note of that value and skill which is changed from what he had initially planned. And then in their department meeting, they actually discuss about this. And then as a counselor, I get involved to see grade 8, what are the kind of values that they have brought forth
Yes.
than the teacher giving them.
Yes.
So that's how we've seen children building positive relationship with
Yes.
teachers,
Yes.
that emotional connect,
Yes.
and daily life
Yeah.
connect with.
That's
learners.
awesome.
That's something we
That's
do.
awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Would you like to share?
Yeah, so we have the new system that we have in our school.
Yes.
It's during the homeroom period, which is in the morning, from
Yes.
7:45 to 8.
Yes.
And we have our homeroom teachers. So we've gotten agendas this year, and each week has a theme. So we have empathy, mindfulness, tolerance, acceptance, whatever the theme is. And the homeroom teacher uses that week to discuss this theme with the students. So it's really an interactive session, I would say, where it's not just about taking attendance, but also having some activities, discussions, and focusing on these topics. So that's what we do.
Great.
And this is across all grades.
Yes, grade 1 through 12. Yes, yeah.
That's really cool. Thank you for sharing. You done, Vicky?
Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions anyone wants to raise? Any questions? Or? I think we're done. Yeah, we're done. I'm sorry that the video didn't have any sounds, but yeah. Yeah. But you could find it on YouTube. It's just World Economic Forum with Jack Ma. Jack Ma on education. I think we could find that on YouTube. Okay, so that's it. Any questions? No? 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 All right, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for your time. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you.